What would you do if you found graduation photos of people who swear they never attended that school? How would you react when living people denied being in photographs you could clearly see them in? And what if you discovered you were in one of those photos, from a graduation ceremony you have no memory of attending? My name is Ryan Mitchell, and I'm an urban exploration photographer based in Ohio. For the past 5 years, I've been documenting abandoned buildings across the Midwest, factories, hospitals, theaters, schools, places that were once full of life and purpose, now slowly being reclaimed by nature and time. My photos have been featured in galleries and online publications. It's not just about the decay, it's about capturing the stories these places hold, the lives that passed through them. In late October, I received a message through my website from someone named Patricia Harmon. She'd seen my work and wanted to know if I'd be interested in photographing an abandoned school in her hometown of Millford, Ohio, population 4,800, about 60 miles southeast of Columbus. The school had been closed since 2003 after consolidation with a neighboring district. It had sat empty for 21 years, and she thought it would make a compelling photo essay. I agreed immediately. Abandoned schools were among my favorite subjects. There's something haunting about empty classrooms, about seeing the remnants of childhood frozen in time. Desks with carved initials, faded bulletin boards, dusty textbooks left behind. Patricia offered to meet me at the school on October 28th. She'd grown up in Milford and had attended the school herself in the late 1990s. She said she could provide context about the building's history and help me access areas that might be locked or dangerous. I arrived in Milford around 2 p.m. on a gray, overcast day. The town was like many small Ohio communities I'd visited. A main street with a few shops, churches on every other corner, houses with wide porches and aging paint. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone, where nothing much changes from year to year. Millford High School sat on the edge of town, a 3-story brick building from the 1920s with additions from later decades. It looked like countless other Midwestern schools, solid and institutional, built to last for generations. But now its windows were boarded up, the parking lot was cracked and overgrown, and graffiti marked the walls near the entrances. Patricia was waiting for me in the parking lot, standing next to an older pickup truck. She was in her early 40s, wearing jeans and a heavy jacket, with graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. She smiled as I approached with my camera equipment. "Ryan, thanks for coming all this way. Thanks for the tip. This place looks perfect. It's been sitting here for so long. Most people in town try to forget about it, but I thought someone should document it before it's eventually torn down." She gestured to the building. "I graduated from here in 1999, best years of my life, supposedly. You don't sound convinced. High school is complicated, you know how it is. Some memories are good, others you'd rather forget." She pulled out a key ring. "I'm on the Town Historical Society. We have keys to most old buildings for documentation purposes. Come on, I'll show you around." We entered through a side door, stepping into a dimly lit hallway. The smell hit me immediately. Mildew, dust, and that particular scent of old buildings that have been sealed up for too long. Water damage was visible on the ceiling tiles. Lockers lined the walls, their doors hanging open or missing entirely. "Main hallway," Patricia narrated. "Freshman lockers were on this end, seniors on the other end near the gym. That was always a big deal, getting your senior locker." I started taking photos, capturing the play of light through the boarded windows, the way nature was slowly infiltrating through cracks in the walls, the abandoned personal effects left behind. A jacket still hanging in a locker, textbooks scattered on the floor, a basketball frozen mid-deflation in the corner. We moved through the building systematically. Classrooms still had desks in rows, chalkboards with faded writing. The chemistry lab had beakers and equipment left on the counters, as if students might return any moment to finish an experiment. The library was particularly striking. Thousands of books still on the shelves, many damaged by water and mold, but still maintaining their orderly arrangement. "This is incredible," I said, photographing a reading area where afternoon light streamed through gaps in the boards. "It's like everyone just walked away one day." That's basically what happened. When the consolidation was announced, they gave us a few months to move. Most of the really valuable stuff was transferred to the new building, but a lot of things just got left behind. Too much trouble to move, I guess. We climbed to the second floor. More classrooms, the art room with dried paint and abandoned projects, the music room with broken instruments. And then we reached what Patricia identified as the main office area. Principal's office, guidance counselors, attendants, all the administrative stuff was on this floor. She pushed open a door marked Records. Inside was exactly what you'd expect. Filing cabinets, old desks, stacks of papers and folders. Water damage had destroyed much of it, creating a pulpy mess of official documents slowly rotting away. But on one wall, protected by glass frames that had somehow remained intact, were class photographs. Rows and rows of them, going back decades. Black and white photos from the 1940s and 50s, color photos from later years, all showing graduating classes lined up in formal poses. Class photos, Patricia said. Every graduating class from 1945 to 2003 is supposed to be here. It was a tradition. I started photographing them, moving along the wall chronologically. The fashions and hairstyles changed, but the fundamental composition remained the same. Students in caps and gowns, usually 3 or 4 rows, standing on the school steps with a banner showing the graduation year. Then I reached 1999, Patricia's graduating class. I paused to look at it more carefully, trying to spot her among the faces. The photo showed about 60 students, all young and smiling, ready to leave high school behind. "Can you point yourself out?" I asked. Patricia stepped closer and studied the photo. After a moment, she frowned. "That's weird. I don't see myself." "Maybe you were absent for the photo." "No, I definitely was there. I remember it clearly. It was a huge deal, the whole class together. We took it the week before graduation." She leaned in closer, examining each face carefully. "None of these people look familiar. I don't recognize any of them." "What do you mean?" "This is your graduating class." "I know what it says. Class of 1999. But Ryan, I don't know any of these people. I graduated in 1999, but these aren't my classmates." I looked at the photo again. 60 smiling teenagers in caps and gowns. Maybe it's the wrong photo? Maybe they mislabeled it? The banner in the photo clearly says 1999. But this isn't my class. This isn't the photo I remember taking. She pulled out her phone. "Let me show you." She scrolled through her photos and found one from her own collection. A graduation photo also labeled Class of 1999, showing a completely different group of students. Same number of people, same general composition, but entirely different faces. And there, in the third row, was a younger Patricia. "This is my actual graduation photo," she said. "The one I have at home, the one that was in the yearbook. But that," she pointed at the framed photo on the wall, "I've never seen before." A chill ran through me that had nothing to do with the cold building. Could there have been 2 classes, morning and afternoon or something? No. Millford was tiny. We only had 1 graduating class, about 60 kids total. That was everyone. Then where did this other photo come from? Patricia didn't answer. She was staring at the photo on the wall with an expression of growing unease. "We need to check the other years." We moved along the wall, examining each graduation photo. They all looked normal until we reached 1997. Another class of about 60 students, all in caps and gowns. Patricia pulled out her phone again and found a 1997 yearbook photo online. Different students, same year, same school, same layout, but entirely different people. We checked 1998. Different. We checked 2000, 2001, 2002. All different from the yearbook photos that could be found online or in the town's historical archives. "This doesn't make sense," Patricia said, her voice shaking slightly. "Why are there 2 sets of graduation photos for each year? And why don't I recognize anyone in these wall photos?" I was documenting everything with my camera, photographing each frame, feeling like I'd stumbled onto something significant. Could this be some kind of art project? Staged photos with actors? Why would anyone do that? And why hang them in the records office of an abandoned school? Good questions. I didn't have answers. Patricia moved to a filing cabinet and pulled open a drawer. Inside were student records, organized by year. She pulled out a folder labeled Class of 1999 and opened it. Inside were report cards, attendance records, discipline reports, all the paperwork of students' high school careers. But the names were all wrong. None of them matched Patricia's classmates. These were documents for the students in the photograph on the wall, not the students Patricia had actually graduated with. "These aren't our records," she said, spreading the papers on a desk. "These are records for people I've never heard of. Jessica Brennan, Michael Torres, Sarah Chen. I didn't go to school with anyone named that. Where are your records? Your actual transcripts and documents? I don't know. They should be here in this filing cabinet. But they're not. We checked other years. Same pattern. The records in the cabinets matched the students in the photographs on the wall, but didn't match the actual yearbooks or graduation photos from the town's historical society. It was as if there were two parallel versions of Millford High School. The version everyone remembered and had evidence of in yearbooks and personal photos, and this other version, documented only here in the abandoned building, showing different students who had supposedly attended the same school in the same years. "We need to figure out who these people are," I said. "The ones in these wall photos. If we can identify them, maybe we can understand what's going on." I took high-resolution photos of each graduation picture, focusing on getting clear images of individual faces. Then Patricia and I sat down with her phone and started comparing faces to social media profiles, trying to identify anyone. It took about 20 minutes, but we found the first match. A man in the 2001 graduation photo looked exactly like someone named David Morrison who currently lived in Columbus. His Facebook profile was public, and we could see photos of him at various ages. He'd definitely been a teenager around 2001, and his features matched perfectly. Patricia sent him a message. "Hi David, I'm doing historical research on Millford High School in Ohio. Our records show you graduated from there in 2001. Would you be willing to answer a few questions?" He responded within 5 minutes. "Sorry, but you have the wrong person. I grew up in Cleveland and went to Lincoln High School. Never been to Millford." Patricia showed me the message. "He's lying. That's definitely him in the photo. Maybe he doesn't remember, or doesn't want to talk about it." She sent a follow-up with a cropped photo showing just his face from the graduation picture. "This is you, isn't it? In Millford High School graduation photo from 2001. His response came quickly. "That's definitely me in the photo, but I don't know why or how. I've never been to Millford High School. I've never even been to Millford. Where did you get this picture?" We found 2 more matches over the next hour. Both had the same reaction. "Yes, that's me in the photo, but no, I never attended that school." One woman became so disturbed by seeing herself in a graduation photo from a school she'd never heard of that she blocked Patricia. "This is insane," Patricia said. "How are there graduation photos of real people at a school they claim they never attended?" "Photoshop," I suggested. "Someone took their photos from somewhere else and edited them into fake graduation pictures?" "Why? What would be the purpose?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a notification. An email from my own website contact form. The subject line read, "Millford High School." I opened it. The message was short. "You're looking at the wrong photos. Check 2005. No signature, no identifying information. Just that cryptic message. "Did you send this?" I asked Patricia. "No, let me see." I showed her the email. She frowned. But the school closed in 2003. There was no class of 2005. We went back to the wall of photographs. The timeline ended at 2003, as Patricia had said. But when we looked more carefully at the end of the row, we noticed something. There was a gap. A rectangular patch of slightly different colored wall, as if a frame had been removed. "There was another photo here," Patricia said, touching the wall. "Probably more than one. Someone took them down." We searched the office looking through stacks of papers and overturned furniture. Finally, behind a fallen filing cabinet, we found 2 frames face down on the floor, their glass cracked. The first was labeled, Class of 2004. About 40 students in caps and gowns, same format as all the others. The second was labeled Class of 2005. Same composition, different faces. Classes that shouldn't exist from years when the school was already closed. Patricia took photos of both with her phone and started running facial recognition searches. Within minutes, she'd identified several students from each photo. All living people, all currently in their late 30s, all denying they'd ever attended Millford High School. But one name stood out. In the Class of 2005 photo, 3rd row, 4th from the left, was a young man whose face Patricia's search matched to recent news articles. Jacob Wallace, arrested 3 months ago for breaking into Millford High School and vandalizing records in the old office. He was here, Patricia said, reading the article. He was arrested for the exact thing we're doing now, breaking in and accessing records. The article said Jacob Wallace, a 38-year-old resident of Columbus, had been caught inside the abandoned school building by police responding to a security alarm. He'd been found in the records office, surrounded by scattered files and photographs. He'd claimed he was trying to find proof of what they did to us. He'd been charged with criminal trespass and vandalism. The case was still pending. "We need to talk to him," I said. Patricia looked nervous. "If he was arrested for this, we could be too. We're technically trespassing." "You said you had permission from the Historical Society. Permission to document the building, not to investigate weird conspiracy theories about fake graduation photos." She was right. We were in dangerous territory. But I couldn't walk away now. Something deeply strange was happening, and we'd only scratched the surface. We left the school as the sun was setting, making plans to contact Jacob Wallace. Patricia knew a lawyer in Columbus who might be able to arrange a meeting. As we walked to our cars, I noticed something that made me stop cold. My car had a parking ticket on the windshield, but not a regular parking ticket. It was printed on old paper, yellowed with age, and the header said, "Millford High School, parking violation." The violation listed, "Unauthorized vehicle in faculty lot." The date, May 15th, 2005. 20 years ago. 6 years before I'd even gotten my driver's license. "Patricia, look at this." She examined the ticket, her face going pale. "This is from the school. They used to issue parking violations to students who parked in the wrong lots. But it's dated 2005, when the school was closed, and it's on my car. Someone's messing with us. Someone knows we were inside." We looked around the empty parking lot. No other cars. No people visible. The school building loomed behind us, its boarded windows like closed eyes. "We should go," Patricia said quietly. "Right now." I agreed. We got in our respective vehicles and left. But as I drove away, I checked my rearview mirror. In one of the second-floor windows, barely visible behind the boards, I saw a light, a flashlight or phone screen moving slowly across the glass. Someone else was in the building, watching us leave. I drove straight home to Cleveland, a 2-hour drive spent trying to rationalize what I'd seen. There had to be an explanation. Photoshop, pranks, some elaborate hoax. Maybe Patricia was in on it, creating viral content for some purpose I didn't understand. But when I got home and uploaded the photos from my camera, my certainty wavered. The images were clear and detailed. The graduation photos on that wall were real physical objects, not digital fabrications. The records in those filing cabinets were real documents, aged and water-damaged. And as I scrolled through my photos, I found something that stopped my breath. One of the images I'd taken showed the 2005 graduation photo clearly. I zoomed in, examining each face. And there, in the back row, far right, was someone I recognized. Me. 18-year-old me, in cap and gown, smiling at the camera. In a graduation photo from a school I'd never attended, from a year when I was 14 years old and living in Cleveland. I checked the photo again and again, zooming in until pixels became visible. It was definitely me. Same facial structure, same hair, same slightly crooked smile. Not someone who looked like me. Me. I called Patricia immediately. I'm in the photo, the 2005 graduation photo. I'm in it. What? That's impossible. You didn't go to school here. I know, but I'm in the photo. I'm looking at it right now. She was quiet for a long moment. Ryan, I need to tell you something. After we left, I looked more carefully at the 1999 photo. The one I said didn't have me in it. I was wrong. I am in it. Third row, second from left. That's me. Same person who's in my real graduation photo. But I have no memory of that photo being taken. No memory of standing with those people. What does this mean? I don't know. But I think we need to talk to more people. Find out how many people are in photos they don't remember posing for. Over the next 3 days, Patricia and I identified and contacted 23 people who appeared in the mysterious graduation photos. All of them were alive and living normal lives. All of them had the same reaction. Yes, that's me, but no, I never attended Millford High School. Some became defensive, accusing us of stalking or harassment. Others were simply confused, asking how their faces ended up in these photos. But 3 people had different reactions. They admitted they had been to Millford High School, but only briefly. All 3 had stories of being enrolled for a few weeks during their junior or senior year due to unusual circumstances. A parent's temporary job assignment, a foster care placement, a truancy intervention program. They'd attended Millford for such a short time that they'd almost forgotten about it. Yet all 3 appeared in graduation photos for years. They claimed they weren't there. On November 2nd, Patricia's lawyer friend arranged a meeting with Jacob Wallace. He was out on bail and willing to talk, though his attorney advised against it. We met at a coffee shop in Columbus, choosing a public location for safety. Jacob was thin, with dark circles under his eyes and nervous mannerisms. He looked like someone who hadn't been sleeping well. When we showed him the photos, his hands started shaking. "You found them," he said quietly. "The class of 2005. I tried to destroy those records, but I only got some of them before the police came." "Why?" I asked. "What's so important about these photos?" "Because they're evidence of what the school did. What they did to all of us." "What who did? What are you talking about?" Jacob looked around the coffee shop nervously, as if checking for eavesdroppers. Millford High School wasn't just a regular school. From about 1997 to 2005, something else was happening there. A program. Run by the county, the state. I don't know exactly. They were bringing in problem kids, truants, juvenile offenders, kids from broken homes, enrolling them at Millford for rehabilitation programs. "What kind of programs?" Patricia asked. "I don't remember clearly. That's the problem. None of us do. I know I was there. I know I spent time in that building. But I can't remember what they did to us. It's all fuzzy. Like trying to remember a dream." "How long were you there?" 4 months, according to the records. Spring semester of my senior year. I was having problems at my regular school in Columbus. Fights, skipping class. My parents agreed to send me to Millford for this intensive intervention program. They said it would get me back on track for graduation. And did it? I graduated from my regular school in Columbus, on time like nothing had happened. But those 4 months at Millford are just gone. I remember being dropped off. I remember being picked up at the end. But everything in between is blank. Patricia and I exchanged glances. This was far more disturbing than fake photographs. "The graduation photos," Jacob continued. "They're not from real graduations. They're from something else. Some kind of ceremony or completion of the program. They took our pictures, processed us through like we were real students, but we weren't. We were subjects in something." "Subjects in what?" "I don't know. That's why I went back. I needed to find records, documentation, anything that would help me remember. But most of it's been destroyed. Water damage, mold, or deliberately removed. Whatever they were doing, they tried to erase the evidence." "Why fake the graduations?" I asked. "Why go through that elaborate staging? Control? Normalization? Maybe they wanted us to believe we'd had normal high school experiences. Maybe the fake graduations were part of the programming." He pulled out his phone and showed us a photo of a document. I did find one thing before the police came. A memo from 2004. It mentions Project Normalcy and talks about integration protocols and memory management. Memory management. The phrase sent chills through me. You think they were manipulating memories? Patricia asked. I think they were erasing them. Whatever they did to us during those programs, they didn't want us to remember. The fake graduations, the carefully constructed records, it was all cover. Make it seem like we attended a normal school, had a normal experience, so we wouldn't question the gaps in our memory. But why? I pressed. What could they possibly have been doing that required all this? Jacob's expression darkened. I've been researching, talking to others who went through these programs. We think it was pharmaceutical testing, new medications for behavioral problems, ADHD, depression. Millford was rural, isolated, easy to control. They brought in kids who were already troubled, kids whose families were desperate for help. They tested drugs on us, monitored the effects, and then wiped our memories of the experience. That's illegal, Patricia said. Highly illegal. Which is why they covered it up. Why they closed the school in 2003 when someone started asking questions. Why they've been trying to destroy the evidence ever since. But you remember some of it now, I said. How? Therapy. I've been working with a specialist in recovered memories. It's been coming back in pieces, fragments, pills in little cups, blood draws, questionnaires about how I felt, rooms with observation windows, adults in white coats taking notes. He showed us more photos on his phone. Documents he'd managed to photograph before his arrest. Pharmaceutical company letterheads. Test protocols. Lists of medications with codes instead of names, and rosters of students who'd been through the program, including all of us sitting at this table. There are 63 of us total, Jacob said. 63 people who went through these programs between 1997 and 2005. Most don't remember. Some are starting to. A few have died under suspicious circumstances. Suicides, accidents, sudden illnesses. We think they're being silenced. By who? Patricia demanded. By whoever ran the program. By whoever has the most to lose if this becomes public. Pharmaceutical companies, county officials, school board members. Someone very powerful who wants this buried. We need to go to the media, I said. To the police. To the FBI. I tried, Jacob said. No one believes me. They think I'm paranoid or mentally ill. The few reporters who've looked into it found nothing but dead ends. All the officials involved have died or retired. The pharmaceutical companies deny any involvement. The county claims no knowledge of any special programs, and the school itself is just a rotting building with questionable records that can't be authenticated. What about the others? Patricia asked. The 63 people who went through this. Can't they testify? Most won't talk, they're scared, or they genuinely don't remember, or they've convinced themselves nothing happened. Memory is complicated. When you can't remember something and everyone tells you it didn't happen, eventually you believe them. We sat in silence, processing this information. If what Jacob said was true, we were looking at a massive conspiracy. Illegal medical testing on minors, memory manipulation, cover-ups extending over 2 decades. What do you want us to do? I asked finally. Document everything. You're a professional photographer. You have credibility. Take your photos public. Write about what you found. Make enough noise that someone in power has to investigate. He leaned forward. But be careful. 2 other people who've tried to expose this have died. 1 in a house fire. 1 in a car accident. Both ruled accidental. After the meeting, Patricia and I sat in my car, trying to decide our next move. The ethical choice was clear. Expose what we'd found. But the practical reality was terrifying. If Jacob was right, we could be putting ourselves in serious danger. I believe him, Patricia said finally. I've been having dreams since we went into that school. Memories I don't fully understand. Being in a white room, taking tests, feeling foggy and disconnected. You think you were part of this program? I don't know, maybe. Or maybe I'm just suggestible and his story triggered false memories. That's the problem with all of this. How do you prove something that exists only in damaged memories and questionable documents? With the photographs, I said. With the records I documented. With testimonies from the 63 people on that list. And then what? Hope someone believes us? Hope the people responsible for this don't decide we're a threat? She had a point. We were in over our heads. But walking away felt wrong. Those graduation photos haunted me. All those faces, all those people who'd had their memories stolen, their childhoods manipulated for profit and experimentation. That night I uploaded all my photos to multiple cloud services and encrypted drives. I sent copies to trusted friends with instructions to release them publicly if anything happened to me. I wrote a detailed account of everything we'd discovered and scheduled it to post automatically if I didn't check in every 48 hours. Then I waited. For 3 days, nothing happened. No mysterious accidents, no threats. Just silence. On the 4th day, I received an email from an unnamed sender. No subject line. The message contained only an address in Milford and a time November 8th, 8 p.m. I showed Patricia. She'd received the same message. "It's a trap," she said. "Obviously." "Probably," I agreed. "But what if it's someone who wants to talk? Someone who has answers? Or someone who wants to make sure we don't ask any more questions?" We debated for hours. In the end, we decided to go, but with precautions. We'd meet in a public place first. We'd tell multiple people where we were going. We'd record everything on our phones. The address was for a house on the outskirts of Milford. When we arrived at 8 p.m., all the lights were off, no cars in the driveway. The place looked abandoned. "This was a mistake," Patricia said. Before I could respond, the front door opened. A woman stood there, backlit, her face in shadow. "Please come in," she said. "We have a lot to discuss about your investigation into Millford High School." Patricia and I exchanged glances. This was the moment of choice. Walk into the unknown or turn around and leave, forever wondering what might have been revealed. We went inside. The woman was elderly, maybe 70, with white hair and sharp eyes. She introduced herself as Dr. Margaret Foster, former school psychologist at Millford High School from 1995 to 2003. "I've been watching your investigation," she said. "You've uncovered more than most, more than is safe, frankly, but you deserve to know the truth." She confirmed everything Jacob had told us. The program, the pharmaceutical testing, the memory manipulation. She'd been part of it, she admitted, though she claimed she hadn't understood the full scope until it was too late. "We thought we were helping," she said. "These were troubled kids who needed intervention. The medications showed promise, but the protocols, they became more aggressive. The memory work crossed ethical lines. By the time I realized what we were really doing, I was too complicit to stop it." "Why are you telling us this now?" I asked. "Because I'm dying. Cancer. 6 months at most. And I don't want to take this secret to my grave." She handed us a folder. These are copies of documents I kept. Proof of the program, the pharmaceutical company involved, the officials who knew and approved it. Everything you need to prove what happened. Patricia opened the folder. Inside were medical records, consent forms signed by parents who thought they were agreeing to behavioral therapy, pharmaceutical protocols, financial records showing payments to the school and county. "This is it," Patricia breathed. "This is the proof." "It is," Dr. Foster agreed. "But be warned, releasing this will destroy lives. Many of the officials involved are dead, but some are still in positions of power. Families will be shattered. The 63 subjects will have to confront what was done to them. And you'll become targets for people who want this buried." "Why haven't you released this yourself?" I asked. "Because I'm a coward. Because I'm ashamed of my role. Because I hoped I could die and let it die with me." She smiled sadly. "But you two won't let it go. I can see that. So I'm giving you the choice I didn't have the courage to make myself." We left with the folder of documents, proof of everything. The power to expose a conspiracy that had affected 63 lives and lasted nearly a decade. That was 3 weeks ago. I've been working with journalists, lawyers, and victims advocates to prepare a comprehensive release of the information. The story should break within days. Legal challenges are already being filed. The pharmaceutical company involved is preparing its defense. Some of the former officials are negotiating immunity in exchange for testimony. And every night I have dreams of a white room, of taking pills in small cups, of being watched through observation windows. Memories I don't have of things that never happened to me. Or did they? I look at that graduation photo again, at my face among strangers at a school I swear I never attended. And I wonder, how much of my life is real? How many memories have I lost? What else did they do to us in that building? The school still stands, rotting away on the edge of Millford. A monument to secrets and lies, to childhood stolen and memories erased. Soon everyone will know what happened there. Soon there will be investigations and indictments and justice, perhaps. But for the 63 of us in those photos, nothing can give us back what was taken. We can only move forward knowing that our pasts are built on foundations that shifted while we weren't looking, in a school that taught us lessons we were never meant to remember. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more disturbing tales. Drop a comment below. Have you ever had gaps in your memory you can't explain? Ever felt like something important happened that you can't quite recall? Share your experiences. And remember, not all education happens in classrooms, and not all lessons are meant to be remembered. Sometimes the things we forget are the things they wanted us to forget. Sleep well.